In this video, I'm going to show you how to make some high-protein vegan sausages that'll pack away nicely into your freezer for when you want them. You know, ever so often we get a hankering for something like, oh, I don't know, how about a chili dog? Yeah, maybe something a little more classic like a Chicago dog. Yeah, no matter what it is, these go great on the grill or, in my favorite, with peppers and onions. Let me show you how I make them. All right, so let's jump in. First thing we want to do is measure out our TVP. TVP is textured vegetable protein. If you've never used it before, it is a defatted soy product that comes dried, comes in many different forms. These are like the crumbles. That's what I like to use. So we got a cup of it, a couple tablespoons of oregano. We're going to throw in some smoked paprika. Don't have much of that left. Going to need to get some more. Needed a couple tablespoons. That's close enough. We'll do some garlic powder here. And let me say too, I apologize that my labels are upside down. I didn't catch that while I was recording this, so I apologize for that. But now we're going to go in with some onion powder. I'll have the full recipe listed down below. I usually cook low sodium. Knowing that this is going to make a pretty decent amount, it'll allow me to put a full half of a teaspoon in of low sodium pink Himalayan sea salt. So I did that. Now we're going to grab some beet powder. What this will do was give us a little bit of color, a little bit of an earthy flavor, but mostly the color. We're going to whisk that all up, make sure it's good and combined. My beetroot powder is sat for a while, so sometimes it gets clumps. I like to just pick those up and just squish them. Make sure that we get it all mixed up good. Since what we're wanting to do is rehydrate that TVP, we're going to add 1 cup of cold water to it. Get that stirred in really good. We want to make sure that that water is evenly distributed completely throughout there. Looks like I was lacking just a little bit of water, so I went ahead and added in the liquid smoke. Gave it a stir. As you can see, it's good and mixed up here. So we need that to rehydrate. So I'm just going to stir it around. And then I'm going to throw a lid on it and we'll chuck it into the fridge to let it sit for at least a half an hour. So while the TVP is doing its thing, we're going to get out a full block of super firm tofu. We're going to crumble it, toss it into the food processor, get it mixed up really good. Want little pieces, a little bit bigger chunks don't matter, but that's really going to come into play when we start mixing it around. So now we set ourselves up, make sure we got everything else that we're going to need for the rest of this recipe. Be that the corn flour, the vital wheat gluten, the Nooch, the molasses, just whatever we need. So now we grab the TVP, fully hydrated there, out of the fridge. Give it a good mix here because it's going to be stiff. I mean, of course it is. So we're going to take half of that and put it into the food processor. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to process it and part of the tofu until it gets pretty doggone smooth. To make that happen, we're going to go with a little bit of water and then we're going to process the heck out of it. You're going to want to let that go for quite a while, honestly, but occasionally, like I'm doing here, scrape down the sides to make sure everything gets mixed up. As you can see by looking at this, it's still pretty chunky there. You can see some good bits. So we're going to want to let it go for a little while longer. If you've ever watched them make hot dogs, it's a pretty creamy consistency. So we're going to throw in a little bit of olive oil here. 1 of the 2 tablespoons we'll use. See if that helps us. And you can see we're getting closer. It's getting closer. Not quite there yet. So let's go just a little bit longer. As you can see here, it's starting to get there. Just look at that. It's beating the heck out of it, and it's getting super smooth. Now that depends upon how good your food processor is. Ours is an old Hamilton Beach. It's been around for about 20 years. It's seen its better days. Takes a little bit of time, but it gets the job done. Once that mixture is good and smooth, you want to add the rest of your TVP and then start putting some of your other ingredients in, like the Nooch, the pea protein, potato starch, pretty much everything except for the methyl cellulose and the vital wheat gluten is what you're going to want to put in right now. Once we get the corn flour in there, we're just going to want to mix that up just to make sure it gets good and incorporated. Once it looks good, which it sure does, then we'll go in with the methyl cellulose. If you've never heard of methyl cellulose, it is a binder. I'm pretty sure you've probably ate it in a product and didn't realize it because it's in a lot of things. And then we'll put in the vital wheat gluten, and since that's really going to tighten things up, I put in that second tablespoon of olive oil, and just look at that. It didn't take long, and look at how stiff that is now. So that's what we want. So we're going to put that into our bowl here, and then we've got one last thing to do, and that is to mix in the rest of that tofu. We're going to do this by hand because I've realized doing this in the past that if I do that in the food processor, it just obliterates it. You don't even realize it's there. We want there to be little bits here. What this is basically mimicking is fat. It'll make it look like it's got some fat bits in it, but it ain't going to have the calories of the fat. It's going to be good protein. So we'll get those mixed in, and then what I like to do right now before I toss it into the fridge is I'm going to weigh it. I want to know exactly how much I've got here. So we got just over 1,400 grams. So that's going to make us about 14 of these sausages. So that's good. We'll get it back in here just like we did before. Toss the lid on, and into the fridge it goes for at least a half an hour. So the next step is going to be to weigh them out to make sure that we've got right at about 100 grams per sausage. And then we're going to want to roll them in the foil. Now I've already cut those up ahead of time to make sure that I had enough. I got all that ready while the mixture was in the fridge chilling. So you want to roll it and make sure it's good and tight, and then twist off the ends like a big old piece of candy. See how that is? So this is going to take a little bit, but you want to make sure you got them all. So I like to weigh, make sure everything is as close to uniform as I can. And then once I got them weighed out, and then I'll go ahead and start rolling them. Get them rolled, get them scrunched down, get them good and tight. And something happened to my camera here. Isn't that just my luck? I was using my GoPro. And so evidently it overheated, and I lost some footage, but here we are. All 14 of them ready to go. So once you get them all set, good rolled and tight, then you want to toss them into your steamer. I don't have a traditional steamer, so I just got a pot here with one of those vegetable steamers down below. So I'm just going to load them into it and let them sit for about a half an hour. A half an hour steam should be good for the size that we're using, depending upon, how big your pot is and so on and so forth. For me, 30 minutes seems good, so I'll set the timer for 30 minutes, and then I'll come back and pull these things out once they're ready. Once the timer goes off and you take your lid off, you'll notice that they swell up some. They get bigger. Yeah, the vital wheat gluten will do that. There's not a whole lot of vital wheat gluten in this, but it will still do that, and it'll firm up some. Now they're going to firm up a whole heck of a lot more, but you'll notice a difference between when you put them in to now. They are definitely stiffer. So get them out, and then we're going to want to let them chill. Just let them cool, let them sit there for a while. And yeah, like I just said, you can tell a difference. It's definitely stiffer when they come out of the pot than before they go in. So we'll get the rest of these steaming. And then while they do, we'll let that first batch just sit there and chill for a while, let them cool down. Nope, of course not. I always get antsy. So I want to open it. It's still warm, as I find out right about here. Yeah, ouch. So be careful if you don't wait, because it's going to be hot. Of course, they've been in there steaming for over a half an hour, and then aluminum foil gets quite toasty. So be careful when you're rolling them. But once you get to that point, they should just pretty much see how that just slid right out of there. And there's our sausage. I love how you can see those little fat pieces that we were talking about earlier. But I'm going to unroll all of these now so I can put them on a plate, toss them into the fridge, and let them chill properly. I'll leave them in there on that plate for about an hour as they cool down. And then I'll grab a plastic bag, fill it, and then put it in there and let them sit overnight. You're going to want to let these chill overnight. Definitely let them completely cool down before you enjoy. So now that they've completely cooled, let's make one of my favorite meals using them. Peppers and onions with that sausage. Grab whatever color of bell pepper you like. I don't like green, so mine are orange, red, and yellow. Give them a slice. So I sliced them really good, and I grabbed a few sweet onions because, well, that's pretty much all I had. And I did the same thing with these. Go half moon with them. That's the way I like them best. You can slice them however you want, but I like to just do half moon. Go turn the stove on at about medium high. Hit it with just a little bit of olive oil, maybe some Pam, whatever you got, just so it doesn't stick. And toss in those onions and peppers. I'm doing 4 servings, so I put in quite a bit. But I want to get those steamed, so I put in a little bit of water, tossed on the lid. You let those go until they're getting just a little bit soft. I still like a little bit of crunch on mine. Like to season it with a little bit of garlic, and I like a little kick, a little heat, so it goes in a little bit of a cayenne pepper as well. Get those mixed in good. Now to give it a little extra flavor and some pretty good amount of potassium, honestly, I put in a little bit of tomato paste. I used the no salt added version at about a half a can. Those tiny little cans, it ain't much. A little bit of water, let them cook. Yeah, look at those things stewing together basically. That's just full of flavor. So I'll take my sausages and I'll honestly wrap them in a paper towel, put them in the microwave about a minute, get them warmed up a little bit before I put them in the skillet with the onions and peppers. Then it's just a matter of tossing them around from time to time. Let those peppers and onions and that tomato paste cook in with those sausages, get those flavors mixed up really good. For me, I like to make stuff ahead of time to make it even quicker and easier for me during the week. So this is actually 4 servings. So when it comes time to plate up, I'm just going to grab me one of them and about a quarter of the onion and pepper mix. You know, pretty much just diet. I'm the one that's going to be eating it anyways. So if I go a little heavy this time, I won't as much next time. But just look at that. Looks so good. Onions and peppers with a nice sausage there. Again, homemade, 100% vegan. That is a plant-strong meal right there. With just a little bit of prep work, a quick and easy meal can be made. So good, so healthy. I absolutely love onions and peppers. And with one of my sausages to boot, yeah, this thing is amazing. So that entire plate right there has a grand total of 241 calories, 19 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber, just 87 milligrams of sodium, and a whopping 918 milligrams of potassium. So hey, as always, I appreciate you watching. If you haven't hit that like button, please do, and I'll see you in the next one. So these go great on my high protein buns. Here's a video for that. Why don't you check it out, give it a watch, and then comment down below once you've made them and tell me exactly how much you love them. I know you will, because I do. I mean, they're amazing. Thanks a lot.